Do you feel like you wasted your Wharton business degree? Your love life and dating in New York City? How did your parents react to you quitting management consulting for content creation? Is your love life as dull as you show it, or are you tricking us? I am tricking you. What is your worst experience with a subscriber recognizing you from YouTube? Have you thought about OnlyFans? Hello, this is Taylor. Not my usual setup, I know, but guys, I tried to film this out and about in New York City yesterday while it was pouring, and it wasn't great. Hi. Okay, guy just keeps looking at me. I mean, that's what I get for filming outside in the rain, you know. I don't think this is going well. Not my first time filming in the rain, but anyway. And it's still just disgusting weather for a few days, so we're gonna have to make do. Figured I'd lean into the cozy vibe. My room definitely is my sanctuary, so thought I'd, just do it right here. Why not, you know what I mean? All right, so as you guys probably saw in the intro, we're getting into some serious questions today. Spicy, if you will. But who am I? Just in case you're new here, my name's Taylor. I'm 26. I live here in New York City, formerly a management consultant, recently turned full-time creator. We're gonna dive into all that stuff, but yeah, welcome to the bedroom. Number one is, how much money do I need to move to New York City? Seattle girl wishing for something bigger. Okay, so I will not sugarcoat this. You need to make a pretty good chunk of change to live in New York City comfortably. Of course, it depends what neighborhood you live in, because rent is definitely the biggest expense for most people, myself included. But assuming you also want to have a social life, go out to dinners and drinks with friends, maybe do a comedy show or Broadway and the other fun things that the city has to offer, plus, Ubers, maybe a little bit of travel, saving, investing some, I would say that you need to make 6 figures to live here comfortably. That's my take. Of course, what comfortable means will vary person to person, but you know what I mean. Okay, got variations of this question quite a few times, but are you currently utilizing anything you studied in UPenn? And do you ever feel like you wasted your Wharton business degree? Dare I say, not even a little, in terms of feeling like I wasted my degree. I totally understand why I get this question, because of course, in theory, you don't need an Ivy League college degree, or any college degree for that matter, to be a YouTuber. I get it. But my life, as I know it today, is because of my college experience. The people in my life, the professional journey that I took from finance to consulting, now to my own business, feeling like I can take risks because I have the tools to make it as an entrepreneur and build something of my own, etc. Also, it's hard to stress how valuable the network that I gained from where I went to college was. 1,000 times more valuable than anything specific that I learned in the classroom. And that network has and will continue to come in handy no matter what I do. And network here is just like my friends, it's the people I spend time with. So again, totally fair question, but no, I do not feel like it was a waste at all. And you'd also be surprised how often I feel like I'm applying my business knowledge every single day with what I do. So it's awesome. Okay, moving on. I got by far the most questions around my dating and love life in New York City, which makes sense. I asked for the spicy questions. If you guys have been here for a while, you know that I keep this part of my life extremely private, just because I feel like it's something special that's just for me to know. So yeah, it's very intentional, but I thought I could still answer some of these questions. Also just give my thoughts on dating in New York City and what I think of the apps versus meeting in real life and the expectations there, and a couple other little tidbits. So first, a little ramble on what I think about dating apps versus meeting in real life. So I don't think there's anything wrong at all with meeting on a dating app. A dating app is just another vehicle through which to meet someone. What I will say is I still absolutely prefer in real life interactions, because you don't have that expectation from the very beginning that you're gonna be dating. You might just be able to meet through mutual friends and get to know each other, and then it develops over time, and that's much more organic. Versus if you meet someone on the app, even if you are extremely compatible, there's that pressure and expectation from the second you meet that you're on a date, and it has to go kind of well, or like pretty well. It has to check these boxes in order to even see that person a second time. And I think that pressure and expectation is just unideal, even though plenty of relationships still totally work out from the apps. I know a lot of them, but I would still say in real life is ideal. Okay, now the specific questions that I will answer in this category. Someone said, is your love life as dull as you show it, or are you tricking us? I am tricking you. No, I'm not tricking anyone. I just don't show anything. So if the baseline is 0, yeah, it's less dull than 0. I don't think it's dull. Someone asked, my boyfriend and I just broke up. Tips for moving on and moving forward. Yes, I'm sorry to hear that, first of all. Breakups can be very tough. I would say in the very short term, really just keep yourself distracted. So in my case, that would probably look like, working out more, cooking more, or just like getting outside. Okay, not right now, it's gross out there. You know what I mean? Just get out, do the things that make you feel happy and alive. And then I would also say to really, really lean into the friendships that you deeply value, and don't be afraid to ask your very close friends for support if you need it. You'd be surprised how most good friends are just more than happy to give you that support, even if that just means a little FaceTime with you if you're feeling down, or like getting coffee with you before work. It can be very, very small things, but a lot of people just don't know to provide that support unless you ask them to, and then they're happy to. But yeah, I think it can be easy to get in this like negative thought loop where you're like, oh, people aren't reaching out to me to help. No, if you just ask them, they'd be happy to most of the time. So yes, trust your friendships, stay busy, stay active, keep yourself distracted. And then in the more like medium and longer term, once you feel like you're over the worst of it, just focus on becoming the best version of yourself. I know, so cliche, but it really, really does wonders. I am such a believer in putting the energy into yourself to improve and then attracting that level of quality that you're aiming for yourself. Does that make sense? I think it's called the law of attraction. This sounds very hippy-dippy, but do you know what I mean? If you're just radiating this confidence and energy that you're working on for yourself, you're just gonna attract that right back. Versus if you're not working on yourself and you're kind of seeping in negativity and insecurity, I mean, we all have insecurities, don't get me wrong, but like, that's what you're gonna attract right back. So just focus on doing you, being the best you that you can, and I promise good things will happen. And then a lot of like dating in New York City thoughts and vibes questions. That can be tough. You know, there's a lot of people in the city, and with the dating apps, you just have an abundance of choice, which is like a very unnatural thing, as in not something that exists in real life. You can't just like swipe on people like that. And I think the city also has a lot of maximizers. So if you're out with someone and things are going well, part of our brain might still think, oh, but maybe there's someone else out there that's even better. That coupled with the abundance of choice from dating apps, I think can create just kind of a messy situation sometimes, but I feel like it's not easy in any city and super hard in New York. People here are very career driven, which I think is a great thing, I guess to a fault sometimes, but I've heard that that can make it a little tricky. I don't really know. All right, moving past the dating stuff. With your housing budget, why don't you get a studio? And would you ever not have roommates? I mean, the cost is a bitch, but ... So I get this a lot as well. I've said it before on my channel. Believe me or not, I don't care, but it is completely by choice. Of course, I need some alone time, and that's why I have my room. This room is literally my sanctuary, but I like my status quo to be having some other people around. So right now, it's friends, you know, hopefully in the future, a significant other, but yeah, I will never be just by myself. I don't want to. Okay, what is something that not many people know about you? Funny enough, I would say it is my sense of humor, largely. My friends in real life know this, but on the internet, I think my goofiness comes through in my videos, but I'm a sick puppy. Okay, it's been brought to my attention that a sick puppy is a lot darker than I thought. Like, it literally means a cruel, mentally disturbed person. I'm not that. I just meant that I have dirtier humor than what I show on YouTube. So I'm like a mildly under the weather puppy, but not a sick puppy. All right, this one I got quite a bit. How did your parents react to you quitting management consulting for content creation? By the time I did it, their reaction was just happiness for me. If I had done it a year earlier, like if I had never started at BCG and just went full-time YouTube after my first consulting job at Oliver Wyman, I think they would have been a bit more apprehensive at that point. But after enough time passed and my channel grew and grew, it just became very, very obvious by the time I did it that it was the right move. So they were fully supportive and borderline relieved that I could finally go on and do something that I loved and that made financial sense. So double whammy, you know. Someone said, is your brother really your brother? ? Winky face. Yes. Get your mind out of the gutter. Sick puppy, sick puppy. As a Southern California native, thunder is still like a crazy thing to me. Okay, this one's interesting. Why do influencers call themselves content creators these days? Okay, my answer was way too long and rambly, but I think this Venn diagram actually explains it perfectly and in much fewer words. A content creator is someone who creates original content with a focus on education, entertainment, or both, as this chart says, and I think it's true. And I'd also say on average, I think there is a bit more creativity and work involved on the content creation side, especially for long form videos, versus an influencer creates with a focus on prompting their audience to buy a product. So to answer your question, that's why you'll hear a lot of folks refer to themselves as a content creator if they fall more on that end of the spectrum. I do think it's a spectrum. What's the unglamorous side of making videos? Probably just the fact that 90% of the job is behind a computer, at least for me, which isn't necessarily unglamorous in itself, but I think that the fun parts of making videos, like getting out and about in the city and filming, is a very small portion of the job. Okay, next is, ever had an awkward or weird exchange from someone recognizing you from YouTube? Yes, I have. Almost everyone is so kind, and I really love when people say hi to me on the street. It's just great to put like faces to the numbers, you know, it just doesn't feel real. But yeah, I've had a few weird ones, mainly just guys trying to get my number or like being presumptuous, that kind of thing, which isn't always weird, but it has made for a few awkward situations. So that's about it. No one's been like super mean or anything like that. Are you going back to California? Eventually, yes, but the timeline, still unclear. I would say several more years at least in New York City, because this is still my favorite city in the world. It's the only place I want to be right now. But yes, I will go back to California eventually, probably in my 30s, but TBD. Okay, a few questions around, are you doing YouTube the rest of your career? Do you see yourself doing it in 10 years? No more consulting? I'm just kind of grouping these questions. Definitely no more traditional management consulting the way that I did it before, but absolutely yes to consulting on like a contracted basis or for specific topics. In fact, I'm actually really excited to do that kind of consulting, and I will absolutely keep you guys updated when I start doing that. As for YouTube the rest of my career, no, I don't plan on being a YouTuber when I'm 50 or even sooner. I don't want to be like a mommy vlogger, but I do plan on making videos for a long time just because it's literally my favorite thing to do, and as long as it's my favorite thing to do, it's what I'm going to do. But my ultimate goal is hopefully for my channel to serve as a really strong jumping off point into whatever my next venture is, and I don't know what that is yet, but we will see. Hi, do you edit your videos yourself, and do you film all by yourself on an iPhone? Yes and yes. I edit everything myself using Final Cut Pro, and to this day I have filmed everything on my iPhone. Currently it's an iPhone 15 Pro Max. I recently upgraded, and it's great. You do not need a big fancy camera to make good YouTube videos. Not that I haven't been tempted a time or two to buy a camera, and I still might at some point, but iPhone is fantastic. What I would suggest is like good audio. So I invested in the little audio things pretty early on. Okay, this one is on the more serious side. Someone said, why do you think it's okay to start from the middle of a Cinnabon? Listen, for those who don't know what I'm referring to here, I posted this on my Instagram story, and I got a lot of heat for it. Psychopath this, serial killer that. Someone said this goes against the Geneva Convention. Do I regret it? Absolutely not. When I'm at my hungriest, I want the yummiest possible bite of food that I can get. And if that means I'm starting from the middle of the Cinnabon, so be it. Give it a try, it's life-changing. I have to keep myself entertained somehow. Do you see your new professional life giving you more time for your passions, like travel? So yes and no. Well, yes, unequivocally yes. I will qualify the no part in a second. When it comes to day-to-day things like working out more, cooking for myself more, and being able to attend creator events or try new coffee shops during the day, that kind of stuff, 1000%, way more time for that. For some of the bigger things though, like travel, even though I technically have more time for that, I have felt weirdly tied down to New York since becoming a full-time creator. Firstly, because a lot of my videos just kind of center around New York, and I obviously have to be here for that, but also because I needed to give myself a decent amount of structure because I now control my own schedule, and being in one place really helps with that. So I haven't really traveled all that much in the last year, but now that I have a pretty good workflow, I'm definitely looking forward to doing that more this year. Someone asked, would you go blonde? I just recently went unblonde, and then I cut off like 8 inches of hair a couple weeks ago. But yeah, I will go back to blonde at some point. It's fun for a change. Someone asked, do you get caught up in your planning era that you don't get to proceed to execution era? No, actually that's not a problem I have. I definitely have problems with motivation sometimes. This week especially, like literally the last 2 weeks has been the worst bout of lack of motivation I've had in a while. But no, I will say the whole like over planning and never executing is never something I've had. I've always been pretty quick to execute if it's something that I'm serious about. What is your height? You seem very tall. I am 5'8", and I'm almost always wearing these bad boys, so I'm walking around at 5'10"-ish, almost always. I'm really interested in your music taste. Can you share your playlist? Yes, I have my Spotify linked in the description, and I have 3 playlists public right now. As far as my music taste goes, a good friend of mine recently described it as inoffensive indie. Specifically indie rock. I would actually say my #1 genre since I was pretty young was rock, and then I like most subgenres of rock. Right now, indie rock, when I was in high school and college, like classic rock or just straight rock. Anyway, those are like kind of my favorite genres. Someone asked, do you think you are where you should be in terms of life and job? Yes. I feel just about exactly where I want to be. Of course, I have goals and aspirations, but I very much believe that I am on the path to achieving those things. Maybe that's too big of a statement considering, like I said, the last 2 weeks I've basically not done shit. But yes, in broad strokes, I absolutely do feel that way. Okay, just a few more. What habits can I develop to maintain and improve my financial health over time? A few things. So without like giving you a laundry list of tips and tricks here, I'll say just a couple. First is to make it a habit to save/invest a certain amount every single month that makes sense for you. Getting in the habit of knowing that there's a portion of your income that you can't touch, I think is really important for people who don't have the natural instinct to save. Another habit I think is worth talking about, and I talk about this a lot, but it's taking into account the things that really matter to you and the things that you just don't really care about. I know I said this on my live stream on Instagram, follow me there, but for me, I don't care very much about food, like fancy food, but I care a lot about having fun experiences with friends and like quality time with people that I care about. So you will almost never catch me at a super fancy restaurant or Michelin star restaurant because I just genuinely would rather put that money towards going out to a bar with friends or going to a comedy show, something like that. So taking note of what these different categories might be for you and allowing yourself to splurge a little bit more in some areas guilt-free, and then just saving in the other ones because you just don't get too much marginal utility from those things. I think that's a great little trick to end up saving more money over time. Final little cohort of questions here. Cats, feet, and OnlyFans. Starting with cats. What's your problem with cats? Cats, when? Okay, I'll address the pastrami in the room. Why aren't you going to Katz? Okay, for those who do not know what I'm talking about, the most famous deli, I would say, in New York City is Katz. Here's a picture of it. And I pass Katz all the time. And at one point on my Instagram story, I posted, haha, 800 days of living in New York City, never having gone to Katz, let's keep it going. And then I just started pretending like I hated Katz and was boycotting Katz for no reason at all. I've literally never been. And so my plan is to finally go to Katz on my 1000th day of living in New York City, which is coming up, so keep an eye out for a Katz deli review video at some point. But yeah, I've never been, I don't hate it, it's just a bit. A lot of feet questions. This one's funny. Can you please show your feet close up? Your feet are so beautiful. They're really not. I wouldn't say mangled feet, but there's nothing special about these dogs, let me tell you that. And finally, the OnlyFans question. There were a lot of them. Here's one that's interesting though. You say you don't do OnlyFans, but do you have friends who are doing it? I was at a creator event recently and actually did meet a girl who was very active on OnlyFans, and we didn't talk for too long, but yeah, no, otherwise, I don't know anyone else who does it. Will I ever? No. All right, guys, thank you for joining me in my little oasis up here. Until next time, turtle out. Free toes.